Sorry, I had to find my audio. Good morning.
The oath of office for Manager Wegman and Manager Waller.
Madam President, this is Louis Smith. Would you like me to administer the oaths?
Yes, please do.
All right, managers, if you would stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, John Waller, Steve Wegman, do solemnly swear or affirm
Do solemnly swear, affirm
that I will faithfully support the constitutions
that I will faithfully support the constitutions
of the United States and the state of Minnesota,
and the state of Minnesota,
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of the office
of the office of
of manager
manager
of the Rice Creek Watershed District.
of the Rice Creek Watershed District
Very good,
to
congratulations.
the best of my judgment and ability, it says on my paper, Louis.
Oh, yes, thank you.
All right, best of my judgment and ability.
All right.
Nice tan, Louis.
Okay, the next thing is roll call. You can note that all members are present, and then we'll set the agenda. Anybody have anything on the agenda today to change or add to?
Madam Chair, I would just like a review of remote attendance to the meeting and where we're at with COVID protocols. Just an update.
Is that a discussion item?
Yeah, under manager's update or something. It's fine.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay, and I would like to remove capital trust development number 21-072 off the consent agenda and vote on it separately. Okay, anything else on the agenda today?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, oh, and where is that gonna go?
New number.
The request, and checklist, it'll be 8.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the agenda.
Second?
Motion made and second to approve the agenda with changes. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approval of the minutes.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the minutes of the December 6th Rice Creek Watershed Managers Workshop.
Second?
Motion made and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the December 8th, 2021 regular meeting of the Rice Creek Board of Managers.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain. I was absent.
Okay. We'll go to applicant capital trust number 21-072. The only reason I pulled that out is I did have an inquiry about credits, and I don't want to have any conflict of interest, so somebody can make a motion to approve that if they'd like.
Madam President, I move to Caprock permit number 21-072.
Second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Will be a roll call. Manager Waller?
Yes.
Manager Winant?
Yes.
Manager Bradley?
Yes.
Manager Wegman?
Yes.
Manager Craner abstain. Okay, the next one?
Madam President, I move to Caprock permit number 21-117.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, open mic. Is there anybody in the audience that'd like to visit us at the open mic today? Anybody like to speak at open mic today?
Sure.
It's the item number, okay. We'll continue on, and we'll go to number 1, election of officers. Nick?
Yes, Board of Managers, annually, you need to elect the officers for the district board. I gave you on page 41 of your packet some protocols there when you do it. A manager, you can certainly move an entire slate, otherwise it would fall into a secondary protocol.
Okay. Anybody like to propose a motion?
Madam President, I was very successful last year in moving a slate that put our current people into office, and I would like to see those people remain. So I would move that our president be Patricia Piner, that our first vice president be Michael Bradley, our second vice president be John Waller, the secretary and treasurer be Marcy Wine.
And treasurer.
Treasurer, oh yeah, treasurer.
Oh, him.
Be my close friend,
Madam
Steve
Chair,
Wagaman.
Madam Chair, I would second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
As annually, as I say, I will be voting against the slate because I believe there should be rotation of these officers so that, and that doesn't happen. But that's my discussion item, Madam Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, and we've had the vote, so we're good.
No, I'm a no vote on that. Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
City of Roseville, Ramsey County Ditch 4. Kyle?
Madam President, members of the board, we have for your consideration a reimbursement payment to the City of Roseville for the project that we partnered with them on for the now former Ramsey County Ditch 4 between County Road C and Terrace Drive. The project was completed last fall, at least the portions that we're involved in, and so that's was good news. It looked like it went really well, and everything's buttoned up there in terms of the new pipe in that area. We have essentially final pay request from the City of Roseville that's in your packet after my memo starts on page 45. Ultimately, the final eligible, if you will, or portion of the storm sewer portion of the project that we involved in, the total cost came to $2,272,750.14, which was a little bit lower than the original estimate of $2.5 million. So consequently, our total reimbursement to the city is a little less than we had outlined in the project agreement. With this final amount that's been determined by the city, we can now close out our ad valorem portion of our reimbursement. You can find that here in the memo. Our total ad valorem reimbursement then comes to $583,280.05, and that's a savings of say roughly $57,000. We also have received our second half water management district charges for RCD4, and we need to convey those to the city as well. So combining those, we have a payment, staff is recommending a payment of $162,303.07 in RCD4 water management district funds, and then an additional $263,280.05 in ad valorem funds. And I will note we did make an earlier preliminary reimbursement earlier this year. And that brings the total payment now that we're requesting to, again, a total of $425,583.12. And again, we'd recommend that the board authorize that payment. We have then the only future reimbursements we'll continue to make to Roseville will be the water management district charges as those continue to come in over the next 2 years. With that, I take any questions.
Questions for Kyle?
Madam Chair, I'm pleased to move the to approve the City of Roseville's reimbursement request and direct staff to issue a payment in the amount of $425,583.12.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to add that I frequently go to that area. It is, if you haven't driven by it yet, the actions that the Rice Creek Board took, as well as the City of Roseville, has really jump-started a whole new development there, without which it wouldn't have happened. So I think this was an excellent example of how the watershed and the city have worked together for that infill development. And it's pretty amazing and quite attractive.
And we'll thank you, Kyle, for the project and also for coming under budget. That's wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
So, any other comments?
And we can thank the city of Roseville for that. They did all the construction management, so.
All right, well,
Yes.
we'll thank whoever did it. That's very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Long Lake Sediment Basin.
All right. Madam President and members of the board, we have for your consideration today in relation to the Long Lake Sediment Basin cleanout this coming summer, we have a task order from Houston Engineering for your consideration, and this task order would cover development of the bid package, including plans and specifications, some regulatory coordination, and assistance with construction administration and field oversight. We have, certainly Chris can speak to this more, we do have a total task order amount of $61,100 that's split into 2 phases, again, the plan development and the construction oversight. The engineer is recommending the board authorize an administrative contingency of up to $6,600, which is 15% of phase 3 of the task order for the construction administration. Staff concurs with that recommendation, just to give us some flexibility depending on how things go in the field once we get started out there. There's a couple motions prepared on page 54 of your packet, again, for that approval of the task order and then the contingency. And I will also note that we have fully executed that lease with Merlowski Properties at this time, and we're awaiting some information from them to determine exactly where that 4 acres we'll be using for dewatering will be located on their site. So that's an important piece that'll go into the plan development phase. But with that, again, open to any questions on that. And then, like I say, we've got those 2 motions for your consideration.
Madam President? So Kyle, you know, I looked at the attachment A from Houston Engineering, and their estimate of cost is just slightly under the $61,100, which would be, then the 15% of the 66 would be slightly less than that. I assume the reason that you've used just kind of rounded up is because this is a budgeting process, and I'll ask this question then if you, Chris, if you come under the 61,000, is your usual practice is to charge us what actual cost is rather than the budget amount?
Madam President, Manager Bradley, yes, that's correct. We charge you based on a time and materials basis. So if we come under budget, you get a cost savings, and if we have to spend more time, which is one of the reasons why we wanted to include that contingency in there. You know, we want to be able to be compensated for extra time because, you know, something like putting plans together, we have I guess an expectation of what those costs might be that is fairly fixed, whereas if we're out in the field doing construction observation, we're kind of at the whims of the contractor and how fast they're working out there, and if they take a longer time or if things pop up during the way, you know, it's certainly we can be spending more time out there. And we've been doing this now for the last few years when we've had construction projects recommending that this that you authorize the administrator to handle these change in scope requests, so you don't have to look at these while we're in the middle of construction when things are kind of time critical, so.
So with that answer, which I find quite acceptable, I would move to approve Houston Engineering's scope of services with a total cost of $61,100 as defined in attached task order 2021-017 dated December 23rd, 2021, authorizing the board president to execute the document.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Manager Preiner, I do have one thing to note I forgot to mention earlier. On page 56 in your packet, the top of the task order, Chris, I'll mention this for your benefit as well. There are two typos when it talks about the size of the dewatering site. Again, at the top of page 56, the task order mentions 6 acres. It is there. It's a 4-acre site. I just wanted to be clear about that.
Thank you. Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Madam President, I further move to authorize the district administrator to approve additional service requests under task order 2021-017 not to exceed $6,600.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Findings in order, accepting petition, appointing engineer, initiation of proceedings for partial drainage system transfer of Anoka, Washington Ditch 4. Tom?
Can't hear you, Tom.
Your audio.
How about now?
That's good.
There you go.
Cool, thank you. Madam President, Board of Managers, you've received a petition from the City of Forest Lake for the partial transfer of a portion of Anoka, Washington JD4 to their Water Management Authority. In the packet, you will find a resolution of findings in order, the suggested motion to initiate that process.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Tom?
Madam President, I'll move resolution 2022-01. Findings in order, accepting petition, appointment of engineers, initiation of proceedings for partial drainage system transfer of Anoka, Washington Judicial Ditch 4 pursuant to Minnesota statutes 103E.812. The order reads, A, the Board of Managers hereby accepts the petition and appoints Houston Engineering Incorporated to review the proposed transfer of the portion of the main trunk of Anoka, Washington County Judicial Ditch 4 west of Fenway Avenue and extending downstream to its outlet at the open ditch portion of the main trunk of Anoka, Washington Judicial Ditch 4 within Section 30, Town 32 North, Range 21 West, to the City of Forest Lake as Water Management Authority and prepare and report and recommendations for the board's review and consideration. B, upon receipt of the engineer's report and after consultation with the board, staff shall direct to notice public hearing on the petition transfer pursuant to Minnesota statute section 103E.812.
I will second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Nick?
President Prenner, I'll just note, maybe it's outwardly obvious, this is the headwaters of the system, so there is no intended segmentation of your authority as public drainage.
Okay. Good. Any other comments? Not, we're going to call for a vote. Manager Waller?
Yes.
Manager Wynan?
Yes.
Manager Bradley?
Yes.
Manager Wagner?
Yes.
And Manager Pryor, yes. Motion passes.
So, Madam Chair? In just confirming what we talked about on Monday at the workshop, because this is a public entity, there are no charges or bonding for the city with this petition, but had it been a private developer, there would have been the bonding issue that we talked about.
Yes, President Preiner. Manager Wynan, Board of Managers, that's generally correct. A private party could not petition to have the system transferred to them. They would potentially ask for abandonment of the system. Usually what we see is they look for realignment of the system when there's development matters involved. But the city does have statutory water management authorities, and it's moving from Rice Creek into those authorities that they can consider it a part of their system. I don't know if Mr. Kolb or Mr. Schmidt has anything to add to that. Thank you.
Okay, any further comments?
Thank you for clarifying that.
Madam President, I would hope that we'd schedule this hearing at the City Hall in Forest Lake in the evening so that public comments can be taken at that time and discussion about it at the hearing.
I think we talked about that at our workshop.
Yes,
We will.
but I
Yep.
want to make sure that here at the public meeting, we note that.
No. Okay, anything else on that? Tom? Findings and order directing proceedings to reestablish a correct drainage system record for, no, county. Did I do that right? Yeah, so we just did that.
No, it's 8 now.
Of 8.
Did we actually, did we do a roll call?
Yeah, we did.
did.
Yeah.
We're all, are we asleep with this morning?
I don't know.
Yes,
A little
yes.
early.
Okay. Tom?
Madam President and Board of Managers, you as the board directed staff and the engineer to conduct a review of the historical records and current conditions of RCDA to determine whether the drainage system records were complete. The initial steps had been completed, including we held a public information meeting and took comment from the public or information from the public. In the packet, we have there's a resolution to initiate the correction of the record in the proposed motion.
Okay, any questions for Tom?
Madam Chair, I would move Resolution 2022-2, findings and orders directing proceedings to reestablish and correct drainage system records for Ramsey County Ditch 8 per statute 103E.101 subdivision 4A. So, would you like me to read the whole order? Is that how that works?
You can waive the reading.
You can waive the reading if you'd like, or you can read it, that's up to you.
Well, I'd waive the reading of it.
President Preiner,
Go ahead.
Manager Wynan, it might be nice to mention the proposed public hearing date.
Okay.
It's page 71 of your, in the,
Okay, okay.
under the staff recommendation, you'll see it there.
Okay, let me do this from the beginning here. I move the resolution 2022-02 and its adoption, and suggest public hearing on Wednesday, April 13th, during the regular board meeting of the Rice Creek Watershed Management.
Okay, do you have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Do you have roll call? Manager Waller?
Yes.
Manager Wynan?
Yes.
Manager Bradley?
Yes.
Manager Wegman?
Yes.
And Manager Priner, yes. Motion passes. Thank you, Tom.
You.
Okay, medical leave, this is Nick. And we received information.
Correct, Board of Managers, you did receive a confidential memorandum from myself. And we should proceed noting that confidentiality. There is a proposed motion within that. And I'm happy to address any questions you may have.
Okay. Okay, any, I'm gonna start with a motion and then we'll address questions if there's some.
Madam President, I move to approve return to work addendum pursuant to the terms of the Administrator's Memorandum of January 10th, 2022.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any further discussion?
I don't know if we can have any discussion.
All in
do we?
favor, we can, if we wanted to. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Welcome back, Tom.
All right. Now we're gonna change 7 to Lamedi and Son.
We have the regular check register first.
No,
Oh, we changed the agenda.
Yep, yep. All right, let's,
Change the agenda for this thing.
this is for final, this is for payment. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, Madam President, I guess I'll introduce this one. So after an extended period of time here, we've finally gotten the documentation from Lamedi and Sons to get the project closed out and all the items wrapped up. And so we are recommending a payment for the remaining balance on the contracted work that was completed. That remaining balance is $35,894.78. This concludes the project. There is a warranty period on the project that continues after that in case there's anything that pops up along the way, but we don't anticipate that that will likely need to be utilized. And I think that's all I have on this.
Okay, there's no proposed motion, but on the front side is a recommendation.
So, Madam President, I'll move that we make, that the Watershed Creek Watershed District authorize the president and the administrators to make the final payment in the amount of $35,894.78, inclusive of release retainage to Lamedi and Sons for work completed under this pay request. And this is the Judicial Ditch 3 Main Trunk and Branch 3 Repair Project final payment.
Okay,
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we're to the check register.
Madam President, I move to approve the check register dated January 12th, 2022, in the amount of $159,271.58, prepared by Redpath and Company.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, District Engineer, anybody have any questions for Chris today? Any updates, Chris?
Madam President, I'll make just one note here, given that we just had this discussion about the task order for the continuing work on Long Lake. We did complete the prior phase of that, which was mainly the investigation of the material that was on site and then development of specific project concepts, in order to get to the point where we can develop final plans. And I'll note there that that task actually came in well under budget. We spent less than half of the amount on that one. I will give credit to the material that actually is on site as the big reason for that, because we included a fair amount of work in there to do sampling that wasn't required given the fact that we found sand out on site. So, but we were happy that that came in under budget. Other than that, I don't have anything else to report at this time. I can address any questions if necessary.
Madam Chair, Chris, which is the staff person that's working on this one?
That'd be Kyle.
I mean, our staff, but who's the engineer?
Oh, the engineer on our side, Joe Lewis.
Joe Lewis?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? We'll move on to administrator updates.
Yes, President Priner, Board of Managers, in keeping with Manager Wynant's interest in COVID situation at the district office, I could share with you that the district has had a number of folks, employees that have tested positive for COVID. That is 3 individuals. That does require them to quarantine. We have multiple, 3 or 4 individuals who had exposure, which requires isolation. In both cases, fortunately, the severity of their sickness or the term in our remote work policy and such allowed staff to coordinate and cover the office and cover the site visits and stuff. that. The district is open by appointment, as you know. Masking is required in the office, and we'll affirm that with staff. Other than that, we're moving along.
So, Madam President, so to summarize this, you've had some people with COVID exposure, but the office is still functioning because you have the remote work. So the proficiency of the district's services have not decreased.
That would be correct. I would just
Thank you.
note that not only the exposure, but the contraction of the illness itself. Yep. Going a little bit farther, vehicles, and I think we touched on the theft issue. Remember, we had some vandalism to our vehicles and such. We had budgeted for new vehicles in 2021, and we had shared that in the context of our vehicle management policy. From that vandalism that we had, we sold the blue, affectionately known as Old Blue, last year. We retained the white truck as we looked at vehicles that would be available. We're getting close to selecting what vehicle that would be, likely a pickup truck of sorts to shuttle our staff to and from sites. The lead time of that through the state contracts is rather lengthy, but if we make that purchase now, we're anticipating receiving it during the coming growing season, at which time hopefully COVID will have subsided and we'll be in a better position for its use. I continually look for protective parking locations and how we might ensure that investment. And at that time, when we acquire that, we will sell the old white truck, which is also by our policy beyond its useful life. And then noting the theft and such, and I think Teresa gave you a nice update last time that we put some additional safety practices in place, preventative measures on the doors with some strike plates, jimmy plates, I guess you call them, cameras, and other things. We'll keep those a secret. All the materials are submitted to the insurance company, and we wait their review and any questions they may have of us.
Question on, how old, what is our policy of the turnover time of a vehicle? Like, how old is Old Blue?
Yeah, it's a combination of, if I'm remembering correctly, mileage and years. So I think it's
Old Blue was 2004,
2004.
Yeah.
and the white is 2006.
So everybody can understand, we don't just do this every 2 or 3
Right,
years.
right. Yeah, they are, pardon me,
These test systems.
they are well used vehicles. They generally look at, there's rust and stuff accumulating and well used by staff at obviously 100,000 miles. They're seeing their wear. So
Thank you.
And we're also not buying fancy trucks. We're commercial vehicles.
Yep.
Ford and Chevy type, not the Tesla or what other exotic
Well, we
things
should
are
be
out there.
Energy efficient, we should get a Tesla in there.
Yeah.
A new Tesla
The
truck.
whole board should get some new Lexus or something like that.
President Priner, I'll leave that there, but I will note.
You can use your fancy 125 per diem.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, good grief, that'll start a lot of yakking, won't it?
Yeah. President Priner, I'll leave it there, but I will note, I think all were generally interested in the Circle Pines and Anoka County Appeal, and Lewis is with us if you had questions or something, or maybe he has a short update that might be of interest to you as to what transpired recently. Thank you.
Louis?
Yes, Madam President, managers, the oral argument before the Minnesota Supreme Court was held yesterday in the Circle Pines and Anoka County case. The justices of the court were quite engaged and asked many questions. It was difficult. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Now we can.
Yeah, you stop for a minute.
I think I'll take the video off, make sure the audio stream comes through better. The justices asked many questions. It was difficult to discern from their questions exactly which way they were headed with the case. We were there observing on behalf of the Minnesota Association of Watershed Districts and had submitted an amicus brief. From that perspective, it was a little frustrating to me that the many questions seemed to stray from the common sense interpretation of the statute and the fairly straightforward legislative history, especially this adding of the sentence that said that county commissioners may appoint managers from towns and municipalities that fail to submit a list of nominees. There was some discussion about the provision in the statute which says that the appointments for watersheds within the metropolitan area must be appointed to fairly represent the various hydrologic areas within the watershed district. And the record in this case would support that that would be a basis to affirm the decisions of the court and the appointment by the Anoka County Board. And the court at one point seemed to clearly recognize that and then kind of strayed on to some other questions. The only other curious thing to me that occurred in the argument was that the attorney for Circle Pines in the late part or rebuttal part of the argument posed the possibility that all that the city was really seeking was a record to show that the Anoka County Board considered the input from the city of Circle Pines. And that would suggest merely remanding to make sure that the proceedings before the Anoka County Board did adequately consider the city's input. That seemed to be, to me, a different result than what the city's lawsuit initially was seeking. So that was a curious development. From here, the case is submitted. We will simply wait for the court's decision. Unlike the Court of Appeals, there's not a strict deadline, but I would expect we'd get a decision within the next 4 to 6 months. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Louis?
Madam President, Louis, I took from her strategy that on a remand, and assuming the court went with her argument, they would be forced to pick them unless the county found all three not suitable. And of course, if they did that, then there could be another appeal on whether or not they were exercising their judgment or whether or not they were exercising their will and arbitrary and capricious. So I saw that just as this is an easy thing for the court to do. Oh, we'll wash our hands of this thing, we'll remand it back to the county, but then I got you when you get there. That's how I read that strategy.
Madam President.
Go ahead.
So Louis, thank you very much for sending all the information to attend the meeting. I did go and listen to the arguments a little, and I was impressed by the former Speaker of the House, who's now a justice, who talked about the revisor's office issue. I thought that was getting into the detail that only a former legislator of long experience would have thought about. So I'd never been to that part of the Capitol before, and it was an adventure for me to go and see that. And thank you very much for your help in it.
Okay, any other questions for Louis? Thank you, Louis.
Thank you.
Nick, anything else?
That's all, President Reiner.
Okay. We're going to go to manager's update. You had mentioned you wanted to talk about remote attendance.
Right, I just wanted to clarify again, just be reminded, since we're at the beginning of the year again, about attendance by board members remotely to workshops and to meetings, and are we under the COVID protocols where we can speak, or are we back to what I recall 2 years ago when I was gone, that I could listen in, but I couldn't speak, and just how that all works.
Okay. let's clarify it again.
Yes.
That's good.
President Preiner, Board of Managers, a little bit of history. Back when this initially started, it was the governor's declaration of emergency that allowed for the remote meeting process that subsequently closed or ended, at which point, after some consideration, the board president declared that it wasn't prudent for us to meet in that way, noting that while some managers and staff were happy and saw it fit to meet in person, there are others that, for whatever reason, predominantly the COVID virus and their families and the vulnerabilities that may exist, would like to meet remotely. With that declaration, it does allow the board to do this joint method. And so any manager that wishes to participate remotely may do so when we do meet jointly, following the protocols that we put in place.
So in other words, we have to be here at this time if we want to participate.
We have to be here.
Nope.
No, I
Nope.
didn't understand it that way. I'm
Okay.
confused here.
Yeah.
Now, between the two of you.
You may participate as a manager either in person or remotely. You may speak to any subject matter virtually, just as Louis, Tom, or anybody else did, and that be part of the record and the deliberation of the matters before you.
Okay.
Yep,
And that includes the voting.
that includes the voting,
Everybody's-
correct. And that is based on the declaration that President Preiner signed into place. And at some future date, that will have to be evaluated for continuance or removal.
May you have a tan like Lewis.
There you go.
Okay, anything else on that?
It's not that much of a tan.
Just a sun lamp, for God's sake. Okay, any more updates? Manager Waller?
Madam President, well, I attended the Forest Lake City Council meeting on Monday night because they have this request in there for transfer of ditch and drainage authority. And that's about all I have to say about that. Well, of course, I mentioned earlier that I enjoyed the Supreme Court. And yes, Louis, it is, they do have some interesting murals on the wall to look at while the justices are asking questions. But that's only for a fellow like me. Because I don't, I'm not as clued into it as the professionals are, and understanding the nuances of it. And other than that, Happy New Year to all of you.
Manager Bradley?
Nothing.
Manager Wakeman?
Nothing?
Marcy?
Just to note, I listened to the proceedings on, online, and it was very interesting. So it looks like, it sounds like all five of us viewed it real time.
Yes, and I did also. Well, actually, I was there. It was very interesting.
I was too.
It was probably, what, 6, 8 people maybe? So it was good. It was good to go down. Okay, anything else? We'll need a motion to adjourn.
Madam President, I'll move to adjourn.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
So let me get this clear. When I'm in